you. It's the D Shabach Show. Why you stuck on 25? We reporting live from the phone, just to let you know that it's the D Shabach Show. Just for you, it's the D Shabach Show. Why you stuck on 25? We reporting live from the phone, just to let you know that it's the D Shabach Show. It's the D Shabach Show. Just for you, it's the D Shabach Show. Why you stuck on 25? We reporting live from the phone, just to let you know that it's the D Shabach Show. It's the D Shabach Show. Just for you, it's the D Shabach Show. Why you stuck on 25? We reporting live from the phone, just to let you know that it's the D Shabach Show. It's the D Shabach Show from the Fofo with your main guy, the main man, the Gemini with the vibes, D Shabach. What's up, people? Y'all can hear me, okay? Y'all can see me. TikTok is stupid, man. It's like every other day there's some issue with TikTok. So apparently the way that I was trying to go live onto TikTok is not allowing me to go live on it right now. I looked it up. Everybody talks about how, yeah, it's a roll of the dice. Some days TikTok allowed you to do it, some days TikTok don't. And I'm like, dude, this is irritating because I'm just trying to, on a budget, trying to stream. Now granted, if I had the money to invest into my computer the way I want to, I really just got to get some extra RAM and then other softwares to be able to make it happen. I'm like, I'm trying every time I come up with a system. It's something else fails. And I know y'all probably irritated and tired. At least the ones of y'all who are watching. Y'all probably tired and irritated of hearing me complaining. But this is just me. This is the process, and I am processing the process. So I am irritated with some little things, but it's getting better. And the main point to all of this is over time, it will get better. Eventually, there's no complaints with this. Eventually, I got this under control, got that, and etc. So it's a lot, but we pushing. How are y'all doing? How you been? How was your week? It is Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, payday. I didn't get fully paid the way I was supposed to get, so now I'm like, bills or play? Play or bills? I don't know. I'm going to play a little bit and then take care of some things. Man, this adulting stuff is hard. My sisters, brothers, how do y'all do it? Because when you are like, all right, bet, I got my plan. Something happens, right, to just mess it up. So right now with my car, headlight, I got to get new headlights. I got to get the alignment back working or whatever. Backlight is out as well. And then I just know at any point in time, bing, oil change. So it's so irritating. And that's just the car alone. On top of car notes, car insurance, phone bill, right? I'm not like some of y'all having $70, $60, $80, $100 phone bill. That's ridiculous. I am proud of I ain't proud, but I will do my prepaid phone service until I can see that, you know what, I'm at a comfortable financial position to hop with Verizon or T-Mobile. Other than that, no. I want my bill to be a simple $50. Just simple little it's $55. Boost Mobile. So we got Boost Mobile, Metro PCS. And this is how you keep money. Because a lot of y'all be struggling. And I'm like, I'm struggling and I'm budgeting. So how are you doing it? And it's crazy, man. So what else? Equipment, right? All of this takes equipment from the cameras, because I actually got multiple cameras. I just don't use it that often when it's just me. So multiple cameras, to connect the multiple cameras, to the audio. Like I want to upgrade my microphone. I got to upgrade my computer. Like there's a lot of things I'm trying to do. And it's like every single week you get paid and then, nope, got to handle this. Got to handle that. So, that's just sometimes the overwhelming part of adulting, is trying to find the balance. Because then you don't want to be a hermit. You don't want to be just in the house all day not doing anything. So you want to go outside and you want to live life. You want to date. You want to hang out with family and with friends and drive. I put in $5 in the tank the other day thinking, all right, I'm just going up the street 20 minutes. That thing bro, oh my God. You can't do anything or go anywhere without it costing money. And you think, all right, $1 or $2. No, more like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And especially if you're trying to go to like nightclubs, nightlife scene, that's going to tax you. Drinks going to tax you. Hanging out, going on dates going to tax you. It's like everything is taxing on top of tax. But this is a part of adulting. Yay. But let's move on to the topic of the day. Topic of the day. Topic of the day. All right. I was trying to do this topic of the day until it pulled up. It didn't pull up. All right. Hold on. Don't go nowhere. Hey. Don't be upset. Hold on. We got it. We're right here. Hold on. Where you at? I'm right here. You right here with me? Hope you still with me. All right, here we go. All right, perfect. Topic of the day. Why are Christians horrible at showing love? Why are Christians horrible at showing love? So I saw this video the other day. Lecrae had did it. And I was like, yo, we got to talk about this. All right, let me refresh it.
Can I sit on my patio and vent for a second? Let me tell you something that frustrates me. Sometimes I'm trying to be loving and gracious with people who don't share my faith. And then the loudest pushback comes from the people who do share my faith. Y'all ever experienced this? Like, you're trying to be caring and loving to somebody, and then other folks are like, you're not aggressive enough. You're not confrontational enough. More turn and burn. And they critique you of compromising, when the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, aren't we supposed to be known by our love? Now, love does confront, but that's not how you meet somebody. Can you imagine walking up to somebody being like, how you doing? What you believe? Oh, you're going to hell. That's crazy. We should be able to sit with people who see the world completely different than we do and not freak out. We should be able to listen without feeling like we're going to lose a battle. I mean, we might even learn something. Can you imagine? I can't tell you how many things I've learned from people who do not share my faith. Scary. And what I've found in my experience, relationship has done something that arguments could never do. It built trust. And when people trust you, you don't have to force your authority because they give it to you. They say, well, you know better than I do. Tell me this about your faith. Tell me this about Jesus. Now, when they wrestle, they're not talking to an opponent. They're actually talking to a friend. And then they don't meet volatility. They meet compassion. They meet patience. I think about Jesus at the well, with the woman at the well, and he didn't shame her thirst. He offered her some water. Like, what if instead of condemning people for being thirsty, what if you gave them something to drink? Can I sit on my patio and vent for a second? Let me tell you something that frustrates me. Sometimes I'm trying to be loving and gracious with people who don't share my faith. And then the loudest pushback comes from the people who do share my faith.
So the loudest pushback comes from people who do share your faith. I've experienced this as a pastor's kid who has grown up in the church community, because not just going to church on Sunday, but my dad being a youth pastor or being some type of leader in church. So we are having to go up to church on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? Was it every day, every week? No, but it was a lot of days throughout the weeks, every week. Yeah. So I have seen a lot. I've experienced a lot with being a PK that was also initially starting to be the good PK, and then led to just me doing regular teenage things. But because I was under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of people felt like, oh my gosh, he's going off the deep end. I'm like, I'm just being a regular teenager. But being a pastor's kid, I've seen a lot of this, and I'm passionate about these topics because I'm passionate about my Christianity, right? And it frustrates me a lot of times when I am trying to share the faith with people or with other Christians, share my perspective, share my thoughts, and it gets automatically shut down because of what someone else believes, right? So therefore, we can't have critical thinking conversations. We can't really dive deep beyond what someone is willing to dive on, but outside of them saying, oh, it just takes faith. Saying all that to set the precedence that I have a lot of experience in this type of atmosphere where but for instance, my dad, he doing the best that he knew to, but it wasn't the best, where he would send out inspirations on text. So he'll make either a group or he'll send it out to everyone. He initially started off doing a group. This was like 2012, 13, when shortly after he got his first smartphone, and he would make groups that he would then send his scripture or inspiration, Christian inspiration in. That led to a lot of people being like, why am I in this group chat? So then he started sending it out individually. He wanted me to do the same thing. Now, this was before that you could send text out individually on a mass level. So he was like, you need to do this. So I was 15. He was like, you need to be sending out a scripture thing to your friends. So I kind of was forced into it. I didn't really have a choice. Now, if you let him say it, he would say that he didn't force. But when you're guilt tripping, manipulating, and kind of saying that I'm 15. So I make the group, and 2 3 of the people in the group was like, why am I in this group chat? Why are you trying to force your religion on me? Da 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 da. Right? So maybe my dad was trying to say, hey, send it to some other Christians, but one, that's not what he said. Two, he was saying, like, saying it to your friends, and basically in this idea of trying to evangelize to my friends, to my peers. And I'm like, I know my peers, I know my friends. This is not how they receive evangelism. If anything, they don't want to receive it, but if they do, it's more like they respect my religion and they want me to respect theirs, whether they're atheist, agnostic, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, or another denomination in Christianity. So I made the group chat, and I got a harsh response back from a few of the people that I sent it to. And I realized that just was not for me. Like, that was not how I was supposed to evangelize to people. So then this was when I was doing Christian hip hop. Lecrae, he's a Christian hip hop artist. And I was like, this is how I want to evangelize to people. Something that seems a little bit more cooler, right? So I was doing Christian hip hop really, my dad got me into Christian hip hop when I was 3 years old. On my own, though, I started doing Christian hip hop when I was probably about 10 or 11. And then I started recording the music when I was about 13, 14, somewhere between 13 and 15 is where I started recording the music. Between 15 and 17 is when I started releasing the music. And I thought that was going to be my evangelism tool. And it did not work, right? The kids at school, either some of them was like, oh, okay, you made a song. They were glad to know that I made a song and I uploaded it onto Spotify and etc. But most of them were just like, this is lame. This is not cool, right? And so as Christians will then say, well, you got to be bold. It don't matter what they say. They're going to say that you're not cool. They're going to say that you're lame. And it's like, it really doesn't have anything to do with the religion. It doesn't have to do with them accepting Jesus Christ. It has to do about the presentation, right? And so my uncle, he would try to plant seeds and say, hey, you don't want to come across as you're preaching. Just talk about your life. And so I did. But at 15, 16, 17, and 18, I don't have that much life experience, right? Then when I was about 18 is when I started shifting from Christian hip hop to inspirational, because I'm like, there are a lot of great songs that my parents even introduced me to. Both my mom and my dad introduced me to that wasn't a Christian. It was just inspirational. It was just positive. It didn't have any cursing. It didn't talk about debauchery, but it was just a positive message. So then my dad started feeling some type of way, and some of his people be like, oh, he doing the inspirational stuff. He not a Christian rapper no more. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not working. What I was trying to do, reach these people who are not Christian, it's not working, right? Because I grew up as a PK, and as a PK, I was a leader in a lot of the communities, the Christian communities. So from the teenage services at church to even the children's services, I was always looked upon as a leader. Always looked upon as, oh, well, Shabach can do this, Shabach can do that. And I realized with talking to the other teenagers, they're not listening to Christian hip hop. They're only listening to it while we're in church. They only turn it up to it while we're in church. And there are a few of them, probably 1 out of every 10, who was listening to Lecrae and Canton Jones and all these other Christian hip hop artists outside of church. But most of them, they're listening to all the secular artists. So I'm like, well, how can I reach them? Well, one, maybe make songs that is less Christian and just more about life and just general topics, right? Lecrae started doing this. And when Lecrae, I have acid reflux, okay? So Lecrae started doing this, and when Lecrae was doing it, and he was like, hey, I'm not a Christian hip-hop artist, I'm just a hip-hop artist who happens to be a Christian, right? And then he got a lot of flack from the Christians. This is why I use his video, because Lecrae knows this 100 times, right? Even my own father was against Lecrae. Well, not against Lecrae. He was skeptical of Lecrae initially because he didn't know of Lecrae. He only heard of Lecrae through other people. If he looks at this, or if I tell him, he'd be like, no. But I remember vividly in the car with my uncle Steve and my dad and I, and the conversation of Lecrae came up, and my dad was like, why you listen to Lecrae? And then Steve was like, well, no, he's a Christian hip hop artist. Even though Lecrae says that he's not a Christian hip hop artist, like that's still what he does. Like all his music is still Christian. It's just that's just how he markets himself. And now, right now, if you ask my dad, he's like, oh yeah, I know Lecrae. I know some of those songs. That's just because my dad, on his own or through somebody, found out some good things about Lecrae. But I guess initially my dad didn't hear good things about Lecrae. I don't know. And I know what if I can make a hypothesis, because I haven't asked my dad this directly, he probably don't remember. But there's a lot of Christians who were saying that Christian hip hop was wrong and etc. And Lecrae is not doing it right and da 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 da. And so first of all, again, I got into Christian hip hop because of my dad. My dad was inspired by some of the older Christian hip hop artists back from the 80s and the 90s who are probably, I know one song that he used to love was Time to Make That Change. We are the ones who can do it. If you don't know the song, look it up. It's a old 90s inspirational rap type song. Yeah, it's yeah. But anyway, Lecrae has gotten a lot of flack because he would go to BET award shows. He would go to secular award shows, and he wasn't wearing a big T-shirt that said "Jesus Saved My Life," right? And he that example is how he said he met Jackie Perry Hill, or Jackie Hill Perry. Yeah, Jackie Hill Perry, where he saw her on the flight one day, and she wore a shirt that said something like, I am an ex porn addict, or I'm an ex masturbator, or something like that. And he was like, whoa, that's a bold shirt. I wouldn't wear it, but hey, right? It caught his attention. And what he was trying to say in that moment was, that's how you evangelize. That's how you reach people. I don't do it that boldly or that strongly. And so then what Christians do, they say, oh, right, you're not being bold. You're not being strong with your evangelism. So you must be, not evangelizing to people. You must be doing something wrong. You must be evil. You must be the devil or whatever. And it's like, no. What Lecrae is saying is everyone receives differently. As Christians, and really it's a human nature thing, because I don't like when atheists and agnostic people act like they don't understand this. It's more than just Christians and religious people. It's a human thing, and humans are religious, or some humans are religious, meaning we have a belief, and we think that that belief is set in stone. We believe that that belief is fact, right? I believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross to save us, to save humanity. You may not believe that. So how do I hold this tension? One of the podcasts I'm going to be doing is called Holding the Tension, where I'll be bringing on someone like a Lecrae and also someone who's an agnostic or atheist. And hey, how can we hold this conversation? Bring it on a Christian like Jackie Perry and Preston, and then bring it on a Hindu or a Muslim person. Because the whole idea is that we are supposed to show love through our evangelism. But how can I show you love if I don't even get to know your name? How can I show you love if I don't even understand you as a human being outside of your religion, outside of your beliefs? But who are you? Who's the root of who you are? What is your name? What is your favorite color? What is your favorite sports team, right? These are things that I can connect with you first, connect with you on first. Then I start getting to know you a little bit more, right? Certain things that you do believe in, certain things that you don't believe in. But I'm not judging you. I'm not being harsh, and I'm not trying to project my own opinions onto you. I'm just receiving. I'm receiving data. I'm listening. I'm tuning into who and how you are. Then you will feel the same about me. You'll want to know who I am, what's my name, what's my favorite color, what's my favorite sports team. Then you want to know, well, what do I believe in? What's my political views? What are my religious views? But I'm able to say it in a way that is not harsh because I love you as a person. I love you as a human being. So I don't feel like I have to stand my ground on my belief. Oh, I believe in this, so I believe in that. I believe red is the best color. I believe green is the best color. No, we're able to respect each other's differences because we respect each other first. And a lot of Christians have the audacity. That is one of the biggest words, and it's going to come up in the next segment. The audacity Christians have to go up to someone that they don't know? Well, if you knew them, you would have less audacity, right? If you knew the nuance of what they're going through, right? If you knew the traumas that they've been through, you would have less of audacity and more empathy. You would have more understanding. You'll have more compassion. And what God has called us to do is love, right? Let me hear some more of what he got to say.
I'll ever experience this. Like, you're trying to be caring and loving to somebody, and then other folks are like, you're not aggressive enough. You're not confrontational enough. More turn and burn. And they critique you of compromising, when the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, aren't we supposed to be known by our love?
And that part right there, a lot of people take Jesus' teachings out of context, and they don't understand how to contextualize what he said and when he said it. A lot of times Christians take Jesus' more harsh and direct lessons that he said to the Pharisees and Sadducees. They try to take that foundation and apply it to regular day folks. Jesus was kind, loving, and compassionate to the regular day folks, right? To the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans. He was compassionate. He was kind because he knew that, hey, I can bring you further in with love. He was a little bit more strict when it came to the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because they were the ones who were supposed to know better. They were the ones who were actually, whose job was to study the, what was it called? It wasn't called the Bible then. In Jewish culture, they don't call it the Bible. It's the Old Testament, and they had a book, scrolls, and etc. They were the ones who were supposed to be studying all of this. So Jesus was more direct and harsh because they were treating people wrongly based upon their quote-unquote spiritual leadership. Whereas the woman at the well, the blind man, the Samaritan, or these people who were just different beliefs and etc., he treated them with love and grace because he knew that, hey, you have to want to hear from me. If you don't even want to hear from me first, then you won't hear anything that I'm saying, right? We have to, and that's love. That is respect. Because if I don't love you and you don't feel the love, you won't want to open up. And if you do open up, you're going to open up with pride and with arrogance and with defensiveness. This is one of my biggest issues with Preston, and I've seen also Philip Mitchell, where they're going on the streets and arguing. Why are we arguing with? First of all, Preston kind of built his own channel going to random people. Why are you arguing with them? This is not evangelism. Were there probably a 1-2 out of every 10 people that he approached who probably actually shifted their heart and actually accepted Jesus Christ? Maybe. But what about the other 8 people, the other 9 people who just became more hardened, who their takeaway from that conversation was, this is why I don't mess with Christians, right? How do you approach them? By not putting a camera in their face and trying to debate them, and especially knowing that you are more studied in the Bible, but they aren't. So now I've had these conversations with people who are Christians and conversations with people who just weren't politically in tune. They weren't paying attention to culture or whatever the conversation that you're trying to have with them. So some people are willing to say, hey, I just don't know, while most people will become defensive and act like they do know since you're acting like you know, right?
Now, love does confront, but that's not how you meet somebody. Can you imagine walking up to somebody being like, how you doing? What you believe? Oh, you're going to hell.
And this was one of my issues with D1 as well, where I'm like, bro, you have a great message here. You really do. Peace, love, prosperity, and trying to get rappers and secular people to understand the power of what they're saying and what they're doing and the influence that they have. But when you're calling people out on the internet, it just makes them more defensive. Right? Now it's putting people against each other instead of trying to show people we're all on the same team. We all want the same things. We all can just use a little bit of correction, right? So if you're wanting to say that, hey, Rick Ross, some of your lyrics that you're saying, or the other guy that D1 came after, some of your lyrics that you're saying is not the best for the community, approach them privately. Approach them in a loving way. Connect with them. Go into the spaces that they're at and say, hey, bro, let's chop it up. Let's get to know each other, right? And this is one of my issues with Christians as we come to wrap with this segment. We have to figure out how to talk to people who don't believe what we believe and who really don't have a plan on shifting their belief, but they still want to connect with us, right? They still want to receive from us. So how do you deal with that tension? But I want to show y'all 2 funny videos. I know I talk about these topics a lot when it comes to dating and the men and the women and etc. But some of this stuff is it's just, you gotta talk about it. Yeah.
Man who can pay my bills and take care of me.
That's all you had to say. Let's go!
Where are we going?
To the adoption agency to make you my daughter since you're clearly looking for a father.
I need a man who can pay my bills and take care of me.
That's all you had to say. Let's go!
Where are we going?
To the adoption agency to make you my daughter since you're clearly looking for a father.
So here's my thing, right? Here's my thing, ladies. I understand the idea of wanting a provider man. I really do. I really do. But I like a provider mother. I like a provider father, right? I like when my mom and dad's paying for me. I like when they're providing for me. But now, since I'm an adult, I am supposed to be able to provide for myself. I have to get a job. I have to get money. I have to get resources. I gotta learn things. I gotta learn how to do taxes on my own. So I'm no longer dependent on my parents, right? Back in the day, right? All the way up until probably even the 70s, women didn't have the ability to do things on their own. They needed a man. So if it wasn't their father, they needed a husband, right? Because even if you had a boyfriend, you was not legally bonded to each other, right? So you needed a husband, and he needed a wife, so y'all can legally do things together, financially and for certain business things, whatever. You know what I'm trying to get at. But nowadays, women are able to have their own. Women are able to go to college. Women are able to get degrees and masters and doctorates and etc. So when I'm hearing a woman say that, oh, I need a man who's going to provide for me, I'm like, you should be providing for yourself. I was raised by that type of woman. I was raised by a woman who did for herself. She moved on her own all the way across the country to go to college. She on her own, she was passionate about certain careers. Now, granted, she had mentors and people. And so then even when I think about that and she explains it to me, it really be feeling like some women are just lacking mentors. And the only mentors that they have are women who are telling them to find a man who's going to pay for them, pay for stuff. Right? I need you to have your own bills. I need you to have your essentials taken care of. So then when we come together, we're putting your finances, my finances, your resources, and my resources together. Right? So it's frustrating when we can't seem to have these conversations in a logical way. So you got to get it out through comedy, right? Here's another video.
Last person I can depend on. I'm a little short on my rent this month.
How much?
$1,000.
That's not your girl. That's not your girl.
That's not your
That's
girl.
not your
That's
girl.
not your girl.
I can't do it. I got my own bills to pay.
That's not your
That's
girl.
not your
That's
girl.
not your
That's
girl.
not. Girl, come on, let's go.
Hey, wait up! I'll take a cake pop, and then I'll take the lemon blueberry, and also let me get the red velvet cake as well. And this water.
That's not your girl. That's not your girl.
That's not your
That's
girl.
not your girl. 2 separate checks, please.
You got it.
So there's a comment that says she's dating him. So first of all, I don't even have to read the rest of it. The point is, she's not dating him. They're just friends. And this conversation, I really want to know, right? Because I am learning to not debate and to not argue with people in real life. But on social media, absolutely, it's good content. So ladies, I'm trying to understand, why do you still expect for your male friends to pay for you? If you and this guy are just friends, whether you friend zone him, he friend zoned you, or y'all mutually agreed that, hey, it's best we just be friends, or you're like, hey, let's start off as friends and see if we vibe to eventually get somewhere. Why do y'all have this idea that men are supposed to pay, right? That because he is a male, he has a genitalia of a male, that he's supposed to pay. He's not dating you. He's not courting you. He's not trying to get to know you like that. He's just trying to get to know you as a friend. Why do men have to pay for you? Because I've heard women say that, oh, well, all the men in my life pay for me. My male friends, my male cousins, my male father and uncles. I'm like, well, your family is a little bit different. I wouldn't consider them being a man paying for you. I consider them just being your family member who's paying for you, right? But why is your male friends paying for you? That sounds like some simp type stuff where I'm like, I'm not saying that I need to get coochie from you. I'm saying that if I'm not dating you, I should not have to act like I'm dating, because then what is the difference between a platonic male friendship or male and female friendship versus a dating? If I'm paying for you, you're expecting me to pick you up, right? Because again, with talking and dating with women, I'm like, there are a lot of women who don't agree with this, right? Who are like, absolutely, I pay for my own things, we're just friends, etc. But there's several of y'all who are like, no, if we're together, you better, not together. If we are just merely hanging out together, I'm expecting you to pay for it. That just sounds like some broke women behavior right there. And that's the thing. I'm tired of broke women. Because it's like, women say that they're tired of broke men, but I'm like, all men are not broke. A lot of men are just being smart with their funds because they're reading through your play. They're seeing that, you're just kind of using him for a meal or for an outing or whatever, But anyway, let's move on. This one right here kind of got me. So this is an artist. This is the next topic, the commentary topic. This artist is a Christian hip-hop artist as well. I guess it's the Christian hip-hop day. I didn't even plan it this way. But his name is KB. He's a Christian hip-hop artist. He is black, and he has married a Hispanic. I don't know if she's half Hispanic, half black, but I know that she's obviously Hispanic. And so they have some half black, half Hispanic kids. Now, for context, he has this podcast that he's been doing for several years now. And he's been very vocal on being conservative, right? He has not put out a video that explains who he's voted for. But based upon you watching the podcast, you can get a sense on who he voted for. Now, if he chose to not vote, I don't know if that's better or not, but I'm not saying that I know who he voted for. I'm just saying that he's claimed that, yeah. So the topic is, or the title, but you voted for this. All right, so let's see what he's talking about.
Into myself and my wife, and was a student there who ran into myself and my wife in the hallway. KBJ was about 1 at this time, and we were trying to teach him Spanish. So we're walking through the hallway, and this lady walks up to us, says hello, and then leans down and talks to KBJ. I say, "Papi, say hola," and she says, "No, it's hello." I said, "No, hola is hello." No, go yes. She said, no, this is America. He needs to say hello. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, the English language is not superior to Spanish. And if you live in Florida, you would be better off as a citizen,
right,
if you spoke both languages. If you knew both fluently, right. And she began on this treatise, bro, that was with passion and conviction about losing the soul of who we are if we're not speaking English anymore. Let me be clear. If 50 years from now the national language is Spanish in America, nothing has been lost in the kingdom of God.
Right.
If we were all speaking German 100 years from now,
right,
nothing will be lost in the kingdom of God. Do you know that the Bible is not originally written in English? There is the 0 words that God has personally revealed to us of his name in English.
Do you know that?
0. What that lady was doing, God bless her, was a result of the influence of Christian nationalism.
Absolutely.
You have taken traditions that may have a veneer of merit or value to them, but you've then taken that tradition and elevated it to Christian conviction.
Right.
Just because it's your conviction doesn't make it God's conviction.
Right.
He didn't just create America, he created every country,
absolutely,
every nation. A lady that was
So I agree with his message. His message is spot on, right? I don't agree with the context, right? So you hear this clip, you see this clip, and you're like, Shabach, what's wrong with it? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it at all. But when you understand the context behind the clip, then it's like, ugh. So, and I start seeing this with a lot of other Christians. For instance, Jackie Hill Perry, she had commented, it's always the audacity that befuddles her, or befuddles, yeah. So Jackie and KB, and there's a few others who, and not a few others, a lot of others, who once they started speaking on politics, you realize, oh, we're not aligned. So I'm assuming that he is a black man in America who has a Hispanic woman in America. So y'all both are minorities. You both are people of color. You both understand how it feels to be oppressed, how it feels that people are looking at you with racism and prejudice, right? But you're, just because we have Christian values, you're willing to vote in a racist president. I don't know enough about KB to say that he voted for Trump. What I do know is that a lot of Christians during the election cycle was trying not to, either some of them were very bold to say, I'm voting for Trump, right? And if they didn't say that they were voting for Trump, they were saying, hey, I would say that there's one person who is very much called from God, because Kamala Harris was pro LGBTQ+, which is progressive liberal, right? And so what they did is they took a lot of her viewpoints that kind of centered around the America that we live in today, which is it's supposed to be LGBTQ+ friendly, it's supposed to be culture friendly, and they kind of took a lot of her points and just tried to chuck it up to the worst. I'm not saying that she was called by God or that she was the answer. I'm saying she was not trying to present herself to be white nationalist, white supremacist, and yeah. So what am I trying to get at? Because a lot of this is allegedly. If he allegedly voted for Trump, Trump ushered in a culture of people who are already here. They're already in America. They were just a little too scared to fully speak up because no one wants to get canceled. But Trump orchestrated, he created this environment, or he capitalized on an environment of racism, prejudice, people who look down upon other ethnicities. So yes, this white lady, I'm assuming she was white, is going to look at you and your son and your family and say, y'all need to learn English, because they believe that God called Americans and etc. and white supremacy and, as he said, Christian nationalism. But you voted for this. You voted for someone who was support of Christian nationalism, right? As a Hispanic, he has a Hispanic wife. Again, I don't know the conversations that are going on in their household, but I don't want to hear you saying that this is why you're voting for Trump, because of his views on abortion, because of his views on this, because of his views on that he has yet showed he don't really have a view on it. He just cares about numbers. So if he can attach himself onto the Christians, which is a politician, right? Meaning he is a politician. That's what politicians do. So if he can attach himself onto Christians to get the vote, he's going to do that. So he manipulates all of these Christians to get him to vote for him, to get them to pray for him, right? Jensen Franklin, right? All of these people, Paula White, all of these people who are saying that he's called by God, but he's doing the most ungodly things we've ever seen a president do, right? It annoys me. And I don't even know why I said annoy. It angers me. We are dealing with the consequences of your vote. We are dealing with the consequences of your vote. You decided to vote for this person because you just felt too strongly that God was saying you have to pick Trump. The last that I checked, God used multiple kings that were not under his leadership in the Bible. So I would prefer to go for the king who seems to be a little bit more loving, which was going to be Kamala, right? It may have been Hillary, right? I'm going to go for the one who's a little bit more loving than going for the one who doesn't, right? The ICE raids, we are seeing that is not about just, hey, due process. We want y'all to come into our country, but we just want y'all to come in the right way. No, this is about pure racism. This was about pure, hey, we don't like Hispanics, we don't like Indians, we don't like Native Americans, we don't like black people, we don't like any other ethnicity. We believe that this is God's country, and God's country is a white country. So when you have other people like Ruslan KD, who's abortion, 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 abortion. Okay, what else? When Ruslan KD is on his podcast just laughing at everything Trump is saying and doing, because it doesn't affect him until it does, because Ruslan KD has biracial children and he has a black wife. So it burdens me and it saddens me when I see a lot of Christians who are voting against their own belief. Jesus was a man about love. He cared about the marginalized. He cared about the poor. He cared about the sick. But in our capitalistic American society, we don't care about that, right? We could have a government who gives free health care. But since they see that there's a way that they can capitalize off of it, we don't have that. So many things, even technology-wise, that we could have progressed in, such as places like Japan and Korea, that we just don't hear because of capitalism. And because of the mere fact that, oh, well, this will give equality to all people, right? The issue I be having with some of these people is that I be befuddled, because they will say a video like this, Jackie, Preston, D1, a few of the others will say a video that's like this, but then you make a whole nother podcast and a whole nother video that's contradicting what you're saying. And then I just want to have conversations with these people, because I'm like, help me understand. Because even when I sit down, had the opportunity to ask some of these people questions or whatever, and it really just sounds like a politically correct answer. They don't have nothing real, and so that's when it feels like, oh, this is just a ploy. This is just a way for you to make money, because you know that you can make a lot of money in the white evangelical spaces. Again, this is why I'm a Lecrae fan, because Lecrae used to be a part of those spaces, and until he realized that once he spoke up about what he believed in, Black Lives Matter, not the organization but the movement, that they were against him. They were saying that, hey, Lecrae has sold his soul, and this, that, and the third. And it's heartbreaking to see that people just don't understand. They're not comprehending that, hey, you are voting against me and against your own interest. Trump and everybody else under that administration and everybody else who supports him don't care about you. They only are willing to support KB to the extent that KB is willing to support them. Lecrae saw this. Once he spoke up and say, hey, I believe in Black Lives Matter, not the organization, but the movement, everyone wanted to back off of him. He literally saw sales and tickets and support plummet. But let's move on to the next topic. Trending topic. Y'all got to follow this guy. He has different names on different platforms. I know on TikTok he goes by News Daddy. On here it's Dylan Page. But he does a lot of good recaps on political and social things that we need to be knowing across the world.
It is a scary day for social media, because for the first time ever, someone has sued Meta and YouTube for intentionally making their platforms addictive and won. Yeah, do you realize the precedent that sets? It's incredible. So the plaintiff is now a 20-year-old girl known only as Kaylee, and she sued over her childhood addiction to social media and was just awarded $3 million. And actually, that's not even it, because Snapchat and TikTok were also initially defendants, but both companies reached undisclosed settlements with Kaylee prior to the trial. They didn't even want the smoke in the first place. They just said, all right, let's be done with it. So Kaylee argued that she started using YouTube at 6 years old, Instagram at 9, and she encountered no attempts to block her from using those platforms. And in the years that followed, she suffered things like anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia, and showed that her longest single day on Instagram clocked in at a staggering 16 hours. Now, Adam Mosseri, who is the head of Instagram, argued that he actually denied that this was evidence of an addiction, these 16 hours, but rather problematic. Now, while this case is literally historic, the bigger story here is the legal precedent that this sets for the hundreds of cases currently making their way through the US courts right now. So I'll say again, if you are part of a social media company, damn, that's a scary day. Okay, guys, it is a
So essentially, y'all heard the video. That's crazy, but it's a good crazy because we are in a lot of new times. We're in a lot of unprecedented times where this is the first time that we are experiencing a lot of this social contact with each other in ever, right? It has progressed, but within the past 20 years, technology has progressed at a tremendous rate. I remember before there was FaceTimes, there used to be these little devices that they would try to sell you on TV, and they'll have different companies and etc., where it was basically a landline phone that allowed you to video call the person through your landline internet. So you would have to have that particular phone. You give that particular phone to your grandma. So now you both are able to tune in and video chat each other on this landline type of device. Now we have FaceTime and video chats and sending instant videos to each other and messages and etc. Right? We are connected we are the most connected that we've been ever in history. Why does this matter? Because it becomes addictive. We have seen the results of cigarettes over the years. We have seen the results of capitalism. We've seen the results of so many things that later, years later, we're saying it's addictive, or we shouldn't have done this, or this causes cancer, and et cetera, et cetera. All the commercials that we see now, hey, if you're a victim of whatever, right? So now eventually it's going to be, if you're a victim of Ozempic, if you was taking Ozempic, you got a class action lawsuit that you could tune in, you know? So social media is, and I know saying this as a social media person, someone who is telling you this, showing you this via social media is crazy. But how do we fix it? One of the things I try to do is being intentional with meeting in real life. Since I was 15 years old, I've been addicted to texting and having pen pals and even sexting, right? Since I was 11, I was addicted to porn, right? Because of the phone. So whereas my parents or the previous generations, they were introduced to certain adult themed things with paper and a DVD or a cassette tape, I was introduced to it through a phone. So these things inhabit your life. So now when you are an adult and you are aware of these things, right? Now she's 20. She's 20. I'm 25, going to be 26. This is a 20-year-old who said this. And we don't know when she started the fouling. This could have been from 2017 or 2018 or this could have been from when she was 17 and 18. I'm thinking about my own age. But my point is, social media is addictive, which is why we have to do things to unaddict ourselves. Pause. We have to do things to get ourselves unaddicted, like going out in real life. Hey, instead of just being inside all day on the phone, like today, it's a nice day outside, right? Friday, Friday, March the 27th. It's nice. It's like 80 degrees outside. I'm like, you know what? Let me go outside after I finish doing this. Let me go outside, hop on the scooter. Let me go out. Let's go for a car ride. Let's do something. Get out the house, right? Number one. Number two, meet people. Whether you meet them on social media or you meet them in real life, meet people to actually hang out in real life. Number three, when you have people that you're bonding with in real life, family, friends, significant others, put the phone away. So many people go to parties and go to events and just ready to record everybody, right? So, and then the sad part about it is, all right, cool, you're recording your family and your friends, but why are you recording random people? You can't, you know how people used to say, oh, you can turn up and do whatever you want on a cruise? You can't do that anymore. Everyone got a phone, right? It used to be back in the day, you wouldn't even be able to really use your phone because of the internet. Now you can buy the internet packages and et cetera, or just wait to upload it later. So you can't go crazy on the cruise, you know? So what I'm saying is, be intentional about taking away all these different things because it is affecting us more than we realize. But let me show y'all, there's another trending, I should have had it just pulled up right here. There is another trending topic that I wanted to show y'all. I was going to wait for the next episode, but we got a little time.
Diane would confide in me.
Nope, that's going to take up too much time. We're going to wait on that. We're going to wait on this. All right, let's, Actually, this is a good one to go.
My name is
along with what I was
Dr.
saying.
Jared Cooney Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Every generation has outperformed their parents, and that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention to memory to literacy to numeracy to executive functioning to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Gene was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly, to the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours per day in school for learning purposes will score over 2/3 of a standard deviation less than kids who rarely or never touch tech at school. And that's across 80 countries. Bring it home to the US. Let's go to the US. We have our NAEP. That's our big data. Take any state, and here's a fun experiment you can try. Take any state NAEP data, compare that to when that state adopted one-to-one technology widely, and watch what happens. The NAEP data will plateau and then start to drop. Of course, this is all correlative. What we really want is causative. To get causation, what you need is academic research, and you need mechanisms, explanations for why we're seeing what we're seeing. Luckily, we have academic research stretching back to 1962 that shows the exact same story for 60 years. When tech enters education, learning goes down. In fact, because what do kids do on computers? They skim. So rather than determining what do we want our children to do and gearing education towards that, we are redefining education to better suit the tool. That's not progress, that is surrender. So as we go through our discussion today, there's gonna be a lot of talk about smartphones and social media, rightly so. But I'm the voice here to remind you that even in schools, it doesn't matter what the size of the screen is, if it's a phone, if it's a laptop, if it's a desktop, and it doesn't matter who bought it. Is it school sanctioned? Does it have the word education stamped on it? It doesn't matter. All of these things are also gonna hurt learning, which in turn are gonna hurt our kids' cognitive development, right at the time when we need our kids to be sharper than we are. My name is Dr. Jared Cooney Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning.
So, yeah, that's literally what we were talking about, right? That technology is really having an effect on us more than we realize. And if you are an adult, you are beyond grade school. So, and maybe if you graduated college, you know, maybe if you're in college, it's not really affecting you that much. I don't know for sure what it is for college, but I know for grade school, it affects, you know. And I was a part of the shift where we went from whiteboards to whiteboards. What's it called? Is it called whiteboard? So the typical whiteboard with the marker, to then they brought in basically a touch screen whiteboard that you was able to write on using like as a tablet. It was like a big tablet, right? And so they brought it into a lot of different schools, and it was great. It was interactive and etc. Then they also started bringing in laptops. So instead of us pulling up certain things on a textbook or the teacher having to print out paper, we're able to pull it up on a laptop. And then it went from that was a check-in, check-out with the laptop, to then the school that I graduated high school from, where you had your own individual Mac that you had to use for everything, essentially. So we are now seeing that, hey, it is causing cognitive dissonance, what he said. It's causing your mental capacity to go down as a kid, whereas certain things was causing you to learn more. It grew your curiosity and etc. This is why some people, they are for cursive writing and against cursive writing. Do we need cursive writing? Not necessarily, but it helps stimulate your brain to think more and process better. But as we come to a close on today's episode, Want to give y'all a little bit of inspiration to the nation.
What do I say when the combo gets dry? You say nothing. You let it air out. You let it get dry. I have a rule. It's called the 3-question rule. I ask 3
He said, when the conversation get dries, what do you do?
questions. And after 3 questions, if I don't receive a question back or a question that can continue and carry the conversation, I'm out of there, because it's no longer a conversation. That's an interview. And the only interviews that I am doing end with, what are your salary expectations? And would you like to receive this generous bonus package? Come on. What do I say when the combo gets dry? You say nothing. You let it...
So he said you should ask 3 questions when the conversation is getting dry. If they don't reciprocate, then you cut it off. I approached this young lady Wednesday. Went out bowling, saw this woman, beautiful. And I was like, all right. I saw another woman, though. I initially saw another woman, but then I saw her. I was like, oh, shoot. Right? Now, I realized I couldn't shoot my shot at both of them because they were in the same friend group. I could have, but I couldn't, because it really depends, right? If you can get the women who are in the same friend group, if you can holler at them like when one goes to the bathroom, so you kind of try to talk to her before she goes back to the friend group, and then that other one went to go get a drink, you try to holler at her, maybe. But the issue is, if they come back and say, oh yeah, that guy over there in the blue holler at me, he holler at you, he hollered at me. Now you try to hit them up both later, and you wondering why you're getting ghosted. But anyway, hollered at the one woman. I was like, hey, how you doing? Good. So what's your name? So I reach out my hand to like shake her hand. She does like this. I'm like, give me your what? Some of y'all women are just weird. I'm sorry, because I get the safety thing where you are trying to be apprehensive because you don't know the man, you are fearing for your life. But we were in a very public place. We were at a bowling alley, right? You know how you looking. You know you look dressed to impress. I don't know if you got a man or not, but this is me approaching you. You know why I am approaching you. So it was like, all right, do you mind, like, exchange contact, social media, or something? She literally did that. She just put out her hand. Okay. I got my phone and I gave it to her to put her Instagram in. I was like, so what do you do? I'm trying to make conversation. Oh, I do hair. Oh, okay. So, what you do, retwist? I got locks. So, I mean, not really. Oh, okay, cool. I mean, I know y'all cosmetologists. Y'all be miracle workers and everything. All right, look, have a good one. It's just, brother, again, I get the safety thing. But if I'm coming to you respectfully, right, you have to fear, or ladies, I would assume that you would fear for safety when a man like, hey, mama, hey, little thing, hey, hey, big mama, right, that when he hollering at you and doing this, I come up to you respectfully, excuse me, ma'am, how you doing? I'm doing all this, what more do you want? Because then I realize you just don't want me. And that's fine. That's fine. But don't try to put it on me. Don't try to make it seem like I'm being weird. I'm being creepy. And so I've had a few women over the years of me talking to women. It initially was girls who were, again, my age when I was like 14, 15. And it's like, you're asking a lot of questions. And I thought initially it was just teenagers. And then I went to college and the same thing. And then I'm graduating. I'm talking to adults and the same thing. Why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? Right? Because I say, hey, how you doing? Good. So what's your name, Rebecca? So what do you do? Steph. Have a good one. I be trying not to be that dude, because y'all be like, oh, now you're just being an a-hole. I'm not trying to be. But you look at me like that, I can tell when you like a guy. A guy ain't got to say nothing. He'll just be like, hey, how you doing? Good. How are you? I've had that happen to me, right? Don't get me wrong, okay? I get it. But my point is, so you could tell when a girl is just not into you. So sometimes you just got to realize, because it's not just women. It's not just men. Men be doing the same thing. It's not just women. It's just men when it comes to relationship and dating. It's also, if you're just trying to spark a conversation with the person who's in line, your neighbor, or just making friends, right? If they 3 questions and yeah, they ain't asking you questions back, just call it a day. Keep it P, keep it pushing, you know, bro. Keep it P. That was probably like the best thing that Gunna came out with, because it applies to so much. Keep it player, keep it pushing, keep it, you know, and then of course what he was really meaning it, even though he said there wasn't a real meaning. But anyway, we know, you know. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in and hearing me ramble. There's going to be more people who's going to come onto the podcast besides myself. So if you want to tune in and be a co-host on the podcast, hit me up, leave a comment, hit me in a DM. But until next time, peace. Show.